Mitch McConnell has proven to everyone in the United States that he does not care about helping the people of the United States, who, through no fault of their own, had to struggle financially through 2020 after finally receiving a one-time economic stimulus payment of $1,200 through the CARES Act that was passed in March 2020. People struggled financially the rest of the year, and in December 2020, people received a one-time economic stimulus payment of $600. First of all, both of these payments should have been $2,000 instead of $1,200 and $600. After the CARES Act was passed, Mitch McConnell did not want to give the people of the United States any more economic stimulus money. Mitch McConnell and the Republicans, through obstruction, caused the people of the United States to have to struggle financially through no fault of their own, through the 9 months following the passage of the CARES Act. This is what you get from Republicans in Congress, which is the reason why all of them have to be voted out of both houses of Congress and replaced by Democrats with a progressive mindset concerning helping the least of these. People throughout the United States felt the financial sting of struggling through the remainder of the year because of Mitch McConnell and the Republicans. If you want pandemic economic stimulus money or universal basic income, voting Republican is not the answer. The only way to ensure that pandemic economic stimulus money and universal basic income is on the table is to vote for Democrats, as evidenced by the Georgia Senate runoff election. If Republicans would have won those seats, the people of the United States could forget about the possibility of receiving the $1,400 that President Biden and the Democrats are going to pass through reconciliation. Because as history proves, Mitch McConnell and the Republicans would have cut the legislation down, as it would have been rejected and a small proposal would have been submitted. Remember, Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats initially sought to pass a $3.4 trillion economic stimulus package, which Mitch McConnell and the Republicans rejected. Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats reduced the amount, and Mitch McConnell and the Republicans still would not accept it. Neither side could come to an agreement, as Republicans wanted a smaller economic stimulus package, and a larger economic stimulus package sought by Democrats was absolutely necessary. In September of 2020, Mitch McConnell put a Republican proposal on the floor for a Senate vote on a $500 billion economic stimulus package that did not include payments to the people, and it failed to pass the Senate. Mitch McConnell and the Republicans finally agreed to a $600 payment for the people, and the Democrats wanted a $2,000 payment for the people. But Mitch McConnell and the Republicans would not accept it. So $600 for the people was as high as it went. Removing Republicans from office by voting Democrat in the 2022 midterm elections will increase the Democrats' majority in both houses of Congress, where reconciliation will not be necessary to pass legislation to help the people of the United States financially. But for now, reconciliation, which is a procedure whereby Democrats in the Senate, where there is a slim majority, can pass the Biden administration's economic stimulus legislation with a simple majority vote. The Democrats are currently moving forward with passing the $1.9 trillion economic stimulus package through the utilization of reconciliation, as the people of the United States need the economic stimulus money as soon as possible. Mitch McConnell can talk all of the rhetoric he wants, but he had no problem using reconciliation in 2017 to pass tax cuts for the rich. The only time Mitch McConnell and the Republicans have a problem is when it concerns money for the least of these. Concerning the economic stimulus for the people of the United States as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, We believe the people of the United States need to be made whole by the United States government, and legislation consisting of $2,000 per month for the people of the United States, with retroactive payments back to April 2020, should be passed by both houses of Congress and signed into law by the president. As I stated earlier, Mitch McConnell and the Republicans, through obstruction, caused the people of the United States to have to struggle financially through no fault of their own, through the 9 months following the passage of the CARES Act. The CARES Act was passed in March 2020, so picking it up in April 2020 with retroactive payments in the amount of $2,000 monthly will give the people of the United States $18,000 each in monthly back payments for the financial challenges they had to endure through no fault of their own. As many people became homeless and many people owe thousands of dollars in rent payments, along with other unpaid financial obligations. So $2,000 per month retroactive to April 2020 will help people throughout the United States who are behind on their rent payments. Because regardless of the moratorium on rent, their total rent is going to come due eventually. So pay retroactive economic stimulus money in the amount of $2,000 monthly going back to April 2020. $1,400 in economic stimulus money will probably be passed and signed into law in the current month of February 2021, or maybe March 2021. But either way, from March 2021 until as long as it takes, $2,000 per month for the people of the United States in standalone legislation should be passed and signed into law, stating in the legislation that it will start from the month of March 2021 and continue for as long as necessary. Doing this will help struggling Americans get ahead and undoubtedly stimulate the economy and create many jobs throughout the United States as a result of the customer demand. And the Federal Reserve System should be used to fund the economic stimulus payments. For information concerning why the Federal Reserve System is the perfect vehicle to fund the economic stimulus money, listen to Part 2 of our lecture on United States Government Guaranteed Universal Basic Income on political facts at bgmgproductions.com. Concerning universal basic income, after the $1.9 trillion in economic stimulus is signed into law, universal basic income legislation, whereby recurring monthly payments of $2,000 are disbursed to the people of the United States, should be signed into law. Universal basic income will address the COVID-19 pandemic and address poverty in the United States in a way that it should be addressed, which is what the administration of Democratic President Lyndon B. Johnson wanted, and the administration of Democratic President Joseph R. Biden can make this a reality. According to a 2014 House Budget Committee report entitled "The War on Poverty 50 Years Later," President Lyndon B. Johnson stated the following words in his 1964 book entitled "My Hope for America," and I quote, "We have declared unconditional war on poverty. Our objective is total victory. I believe that 30 years from now, Americans will look back upon these 1960s as the time of the Great American Breakthrough towards the victory of prosperity over poverty." End of quote. President Johnson stated, "We have declared unconditional war on poverty." Merriam-Webster's online dictionary defines unconditional as not conditional or limited. In other words, the war on poverty is not subject to any conditions. President Johnson knew that the war on poverty would need many great ideas and legislative efforts to bring the desired results. According to the House Budget Committee website, President Lyndon B. Johnson stated the following words in his 1964 State of the Union address, and I quote, "Our aim is not only to relieve the symptom of poverty, but to cure it, and above all, to prevent it. No single piece of legislation, however, is going to suffice. End of quote. President Johnson's statement in and of itself proved that the war on poverty was going to be one in which other pieces of legislation would be necessary to relieve, cure, and prevent poverty. The Joseph R. Biden administration can use universal basic income to relieve, cure, and prevent poverty. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. mentioned the concept of universal basic income, which he called a guaranteed annual income, in 1967 during a speech at Stanford University, as he stated the following words, and I quote, "There is a great deal that the society can and must do if the Negro is to gain the economic security that he needs. Now, one of the answers, it seems to me, is a guaranteed annual income, a guaranteed minimum income for all people and for all families of our country. It seems to me that the civil rights movement must now begin to organize for the guaranteed annual income, begin to organize people all over our country and mobilize forces so that we can bring to the attention of our nation this need and this something which I believe will go a long, long way toward dealing with the Negro's economic problem and the economic problem which many other poor people confront in our nation." End of quote.